All right. Hello, people. Ooh. Hang on just a sec. Just a second, folks. Let me do a couple of things real quick. Hey, Angel, I texted you something, but I found it. Okay. So, anyway, hey, Time Lord. Hey, Derek. Hey, Angel. I knew you'd be here for a minute at least. So, hey, Willie. Hey, Carrie. All right. So, there's like a string of comments from someone, not a string, but like a series of comments. What up, big dog? From a person that has always stuck with me, like, because they always say, like, don't pay attention to the comments, but if you don't pay attention to the comments, then first off, I don't know what I got wrong. Second off, I don't get to hear all the nice ones from you guys. But third, it's just part of the thing to get like emotionally, spiritually, psychologically beat the fuck down by someone. And there is someone who I've hidden him since, but he commented on a couple of videos. And my big sin to this guy, which is my big sin to a lot of people, is crying, right? But one of the things during the hi Rosano, yeah, I found it, Angel. Um, one of the big sins was me crying, but during the George and Paul video, he was like, you need to watch, and I'm just gonna name it because I don't care. I'm like, there's 17 people here, so it's like whatever. But not that you guys aren't important, but you know what I mean. Carrie, you're right. My crying is legendary, and that is like part of who I am. So like, let's just embrace it. Whatever. It's not gonna stop. Yes, his name is Alex, and he sucks. But what I'm going to name is, he was like, you should watch Pop Goes the 60s. And that is someone who like is a Beatles YouTuber, but I didn't know. I've heard of like a couple of Beatles YouTubers, but another thing that I guess is legendary about me that people do know or whatever is that I don't hang out with, like, I don't watch other Beatles YouTubers, anybody really. I occasionally watch Abby's videos, Abigail DeVoe. Um, and I have watched a couple, like, before I got into the Beatles, I watched a replacing Ringo video, which I thought was really interesting. I watched a couple Simon Whistler videos, one on John Lennon, and then a George Harrison one came out right after I got into the Beatles. And by the way, like, you can recommend as many videos and as many whatevers as you want. I'm not going to watch them. Like, if you want to recommend here in the comments, Willie, like, that's fine. You're recommending to the people who have probably already seen them. I'm still not going to. It's for a bunch of reasons. They're all really valid. One, because comparison is the thief of joy. Two, I have a life outside of this. And three, perhaps the most important one for my work, is that I don't want to engage in a situation where find my own opinions from someone else, which would make me less likely to be open-minded to learn other things. I am interested truly in finding the source material from the first sources, from the original source material. I don't need some person to tell that to me. But this one commenter, like, brought it up again and said, like, your emotions cloud your judgment, and I told you that you need to watch this YouTuber because he directly contradicts XYZ thing about the George and Paul video, which was a part that was my opinion. So it's like really not possible to disprove what I was saying because it's an opinion aspect of it. And I was like, well, it's still not going to happen. And eventually I was just like, you know what? This guy loves negging me, so I'm going to get rid of him. But yesterday, Angel, my collaborator on the Live Aid video, and my lovely moderator here and good friend, was like, I don't understand. I don't remember what brought us up about this, but I think we were talking shit about Lewisohn. Hang on. Lewisohn has nothing on what we're about to talk about. Lewisohn's fine, like in comparison. I still use his complete Beatles recording sessions. So he's, in comparison, it's fine. I think we were bitching about this person that I hate, which is him. And so hate is such a strong word. But then, so we brought up Pop Goes the 60s, and Angel goes, did you know that Martin, he did not write the Bible. That is disgusting. That is, I really want to caution. We're going to talk about Lewisohn for a second. Martin, like, I'm not kidding. If that's the mindset, I really don't want you here. And I don't think that you, like, if you're a person who thinks that Lewisohn wrote the Bible and you've watched my Lewisohn lied video and you're interested in reason, critical thinking, caring about historiography and accuracy. Hi, Sasha, what's up? It is extremely dangerous to put Lewisohn, tune in, on such a pedestal, and it is actually extremely upsetting to me personally that someone would like love my stuff to the point where you show up at several of my lives and still believe that Mark Lewisohn is writing the Bible in tune in. Is he a good writer? I guess. He's not, like, as far as storytelling, sure, fine. Yes, Aaron Weber writes well. Aaron Weber is currently retired. Hopefully because of personal reasons, hopefully she'll be able to come back out. Aaron Weber when she wrote Beatles and the Historians, was unaware of the situation with Mark Lewisohn, which is really is too bad, because Mark Lewisohn cuts and fucks and chops and screws sources, makes quotes in and out that are fabricated, and he says, I'm doing things accurately, and he is not. Like, he is actively changing history because he likes it. And I went into it on my Lewisohn Light video. You should watch it. So if you laud Mark Lewisohn for his chronicling work, yes, absolutely, because his Complete Beatles recording sessions, Complete Beatles Chronicle, you should use that. Like, that's great stuff. You should not solely use it ever. You need to use several things, 3 good sources backing each other up. If you see things in his like text sections of those, I find those quotes. I've already read those books. I see it. I'm like, oh, I know that, and double check. And really, even now, really, if you're seeing quotes, even in those old ones, you need to go look at the original source material, because sometimes he changes words, which is something you cannot do with quotes. You cannot do that. But now he's changed. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he had a fucking stroke. I don't know what happened to him. He's totally different. So I've read 112 books on the Beatles, or like biographies on the Beatles, on certain specific things, whatever. And I think really, like, it is extremely upsetting and disturbing that there is one preeminent Beatles author with such a huge world of the Beatles themselves. And and I'm so sorry, because I'm looking at these names and I'm looking at some names, and I'm just like, they're like all white men. Like, I'm so sorry. I love you guys. But like, I mean, I'm married one, I have a brother, like, whatever, but it's like, holy shit, for a band that was so heavily influenced by Black music and a fan base that was so heavily brought on by women, we really should be having a lot more lauding of women and people of color writing. And when I've brought this up on when I used to have a Twitter, people got real big mad about that. Like they were like, "How? I'm sorry, I go with accuracy," and I'm like, "Well, we're lacking some fucking accuracy." So anyway, that was like 10 mentions of Lewisohn, and yet. The reason why Lewisohn is dangerous really is his reputation, like the fact that he's so well known, like he's so well known and he's so well approved. That is his danger. And even so, we're just gonna like make 10, I think, maybe 10. Let's do 12 just in case. All right, cool. And even so, he is nothing. He is a saint. I think his intentions in his heart, very weird, but I mean, I think he believes, maybe I think he buys his own sale. Like I think he believes he's doing the very right thing, and he's not, and I don't understand, but like I believe his intentions. We're gonna go ahead and give it another 2, I think, 2 Lewisohn. Okay. But I know things about that man's personal life. He's not that great. Okay. Okay. He is nothing compared to Geoffrey Giuliano. Joffrey, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be calling him Giuliano. So back to the commenter, Alex. He's like, you need to go watch Pop Goes the 60s. An Angel, who actually keeps up with all of the YouTube and the people, actually pays attention. He goes, did you know that he interviewed Giuliano? And I was like, what? This person that hi Constantine, hi Telenicon. 15. Yeah, 15 bashings here. So, hi Chris, sorry I didn't say hi. Martin, I don't think you're listening to me. Lewisohn is nothing compared to Giuliano. Like nothing in the way of anything bad I have to say about Lewisohn. I'm like, he's an angel in comparison to Giuliano. I'm like, he's fine. He's perfect. I don't understand his wait, what did Carrie? The Lewisohn criticism is mainly from women, and I find that interesting. They have backed it up with research. What Carrie Ford means is that Lewisohn is getting criticism from women and not other demographics, and the women who are criticizing have brought it up with hardcore research, and Carrie finds that interesting. And Carrie, you are correct. That I also find that interesting personally. And here's the thing about me, like, because I have to, whenever I'm reading anything, I see a footnote, I have to go click on it because I'm like, I have to go click on it. I have to find the original source because there's always something better than what made it in the book. Like there's always something better. So, which is why I'm not like side note, right? But I'm an app, like a Mac girly. I'm not a girly, but you know what I mean. I have an iPhone. I have an iMac, which I really need to update because I did not know I was going to be making several hour videos when I bought that damn computer. I thought that I was just going to be writing articles. And now my computer is like, hey, whoa, this is out of my pay grade. But I love Apple Books because it is, and I'm assuming probably Google Books or whatever else. I don't really love Kindle because religion, like not religion. Oh my God, I just read religion because Amazon is like, hey, so you bought this thing, but now it's just the license of the thing. So you can't like download it. You can't actually own it. You can't actually have it. And we're gonna, if you're into comics or if you're into comics at all, we heard about this platform that lets you read comics on your phone, like laptop, like iPad, whatever, and in this really great way. And then 4 years later, we're gonna defunct it. And now you can't have it. Like, so Amazon, I can't trust it that much, which is really frustrating because it is so pervasive that you're like, well, fuck you then. So anyway, so Apple Books, you go, you see a footnote on there, you click on it, it takes you straight to where it was in the bibliography. I find it, and then I'm like, deal, I'm gonna go find it. And yes, sometimes I have to use some sketchy means of finding whatever that source is. I don't care. YouTube doesn't pay you. Like, it's not like, even with whatever ads I get, I don't get, like, I get $100 every 3 or 4 months from, making this. Like, I'm like, okay, and unfortunately for my patrons, they get, they get what they pay for. It's fucking insane. So anyway, so I have to check all this stuff, but so Angel's like, but he interviewed Giuliano, and everything I know about Giuliano is almost directly, this is embarrassing for him, from himself, because I've gone through, this is a gallon, bitch, you know it. I have read, as far as reading Giuliano, I've read little snippets from his, like, it's like Conversations with the Beatles. It's a compilation book of Beatle interviews that are just compiled. I've read that when I was, like, a little snippets from it when I was in a Half Price Books once. And I saw one that was also like a compilation of fans, like a uh, fan stories, which I thought was really neat. I was like, okay, that's cool, that's cool. And then, but like, but I was like, that is shockingly normal from this guy, because so before I knew anything about him, this is so funny. Before I knew anything about him, when I was working on my Concert for Bangladesh video, I looked for every George book I could find. And the thing is, well, on archive, I've never found every George book I can find. We're talking hundreds of George books, right? But I just went on archive. I was like, let's see what free stuff I can, glom here, because it's archive right here. And Giuliano was there. So I wasn't reading all the books all the way through, because this is what happens when you're focusing on one source, like one story. I mean, so I just search Bangladesh and I get in there and I start reading, and I'm like, he's saying some interesting things, some out of what's the word? My God, things in order, chronological. Like, this is not chronological. I'm confused about this. He's saying this thing, and at this point I'd read probably like 15 different accounts plus like interviews and stuff. So I was like, that seems inaccurate. So I skipped back to like the Let It Be era, and I'm like, oh, so he's just like actively lying, or extremely, extremely unfortunately misinformed. So I was like, this guy's just full of shit. I'm never going to read his stuff again. And then I learned more about him, and I'm like, oh God. So if you don't know anything about Geoffrey Giuliano, and I don't know all the names of his books, I don't care, but at one point he has published a book that has a dead body photo, like picture in it, which is just the most disgusting, like, trash bag thing you can do. That is not even little dog behavior. It's not big dog. It's not even little dog. It's like tiny car seat in the middle of the chasm of doom car seat crumb behavior. You're never getting that off you. You're never getting that off of you. That is a stink that will not come off of you. That is the most disgusting thing. And in a comment from this, would you say the bios on the Beatles are more likely to be accurate to be written by family? No. Because family, like, it's the thing that I have to say over, like, that I have to remind myself of when you're reading something. Who is it's not a dead dog, it was a dead man. It would have been just as bad. But so when you're reading Beatles biographies, look into the author and find out how does this person's background and relationship to the Beatles, whose narrative is this serving, right? So like Barry Miles, good friend with Paul, he wrote a book with Paul. This narrative is a Paul book. This is going to serve Paul. Philip Norman likes John the best. Shocking. Any book that he writes is going to serve John and going to put down. Oh no, Derek, it was his body. I just want to let that set in. This person had died from drug overdose. You know, it's a tragic way to go. And that's a way that I could have gone, right? So, yes, be clear. This is one of the shittiest things. This person has a family and this person has his own dignity. Like he had his own life. David Scott, do not worry about owning Giuliano books. I own Albert Goldman. You should read everything. But I would be buying things used generally. You should read everything because all of it impacts the narrative. So in order to understand how the world understands Beatles, you should pay attention. It's fine if you're reading them or if they're just sitting on your shelf. I don't really care. But yes, Time Lord Guide. I think Cynthia's book is extremely good. There's the things that are like, you know, just little like, you know, whoopsie dates, like same with Patty, little whoopsie dates. But those are things like this is her recollection. And even in her recollection or whoever she might have spoke with or consulted with, whatever source material, it was accurate with those things. I loved Cynthia's book and I wish that we had like 6 of them. And The Twist of Linen, you should go read it. It's available on archive. That's her first book. And people will find ways to discredit any woman. So they'll say, well, this is different in A Twist of Linen than it was in John. And so when she was talking, she was a little bit more graphic about the physical situation and that I read about, like when John hit her in the first book than she was in the second book. And I'm assuming a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was written decades later. Time softens things, and maybe for her it felt a little uncouth, or, you know, Julian was, you know, less hurt then and she wanted to be more charitable or all kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I'm okay with let's write about all those things. Hey, Stuck on Wax. Yeah, we're talking shit. So, so anyway, I click back to my story. I'm all over the place. My Adderall apparently didn't work today. Back to my story. I click on Pop Goes the 60s interview with Giuliano, and I'm a vibes person. Like, I don't subscribe to any sort of religion. I don't think any religion would have me at this point. They're like, we're good. Please don't talk about God in regards to us. We don't need you as a salesman. But I'm a vibes person. And when I read or listen to like Lewisohn talking, I will get like a weird anger. I'll be like, oh, you know, like an angry chihuahua barking at. I'll be like, I'm gonna do, you know, I get angry when I was listening to this, and that's how I feel when I see a lot of it's not just Lewisohn, okay? That's there's a couple of Lost characters that come on screen, and I get the same like little angry. It's very little dog of me. So I will, ladies, Marcus, Martin, we're not going to be fighting. Though, Marcus, you are correct, but we're not going to be fighting. I don't want, if we're getting fighting in my chat, I will. Oh, Sam, hi. Well, it came out after he died, though. I believe, I was pretty sure it came out didn't it come out after he died? Hang on. Nope. I'm stupid. For some reason, I got his and May's mixed up. It came out in 78 and May's came out in 84. So, Marcus, I'm just making sure because I know Martin fights with people. It's not you. So, hey, Christian. So, and he can't like get mad at me for saying it because he does it. So anyway, so I click on this and I start feeling like my stomach starts hurting. and I start getting like crazy anxiety, like so quick. And I was totally fine beforehand. And I was just like, what is this vibe? As soon as this guy starts talking, I'm like, oh my God, Giuliano's giving really bad vibes through. Okay, Angel, you know what to do. Um, so I'm getting like these vibes through the phone. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? It's like, okay, like so the thing is that Giuliano starts talking and says the most bullshit thing I've ever um okay. Says the most May Pang is amazing. May Pang is amazing, and she's, like, very cool, like, as a person, like, just like a cool bitch. She has purple hair, love her. So, anyway, um, so, like, we're, so we he starts talking and says something that I have never seen in my chat, like, in my comments with anybody. He's like, "Everyone thinks the Beatles are amazing people and that they're, like, just these perfect humans, and, like, oh my god, everybody just loves the Beatles as people. They just think they're so great." And I'm like, "I not my guys. Not the big dogs at Lars Land. Like, not us. We've certainly if anything, if I've been too positive in some ways, people are like, "Hey, Lars, are you glazing a little bit? Did you forget? Like, are you getting mm, a little, like, cloudy with the fact that you like that song so much, so you wanna praise somebody, Lars? Are you being a little easy, Lars? Like, don't forget, history has knives and you just walked right over them, I guess." I've never had that vibe from my people saying like, "Wow, the Beatles are perfect." The music, sure, yeah. We all like we'll talk about that all day. But it's like, "Oh, um I just really think that people think." No, it wasn't I just really think. It was like definitive statements. People think that the Beatles are amazing, and he goes, "People don't like my books because they tell the truth about the Beatles." And if you have read or heard anything about Giuliano, you know that he didn't tell them the truth about anything. Like, so the more I've learned about this guy, the more I'm like, "Oh, so this guy's like literally the National Enquirer of authors, of Beatle authors particularly." And I think it's interesting, just saying, that he's done books on every Beatle except for one. Why are we always just you can't shit on Ringo for 180 pages? You can't talk crap about Ringo, like, you're gonna even leave Ringo out of your tabloid fodder? Come on, there's stuff you can say about Ringo you can make up all kinds of fun stuff about Ringo. Like, come on. Why even then, even the trash bags won't touch Ringo. Bullshit. I feel like generally it's the surface level fans that glaze them too much, whereas fans who dig deep into their lives have to wrestle with the shitty things they did. That's it. Even watching some interviews with them, you're like, I'm gonna have to wrestle with that later, you know? I like all the Beatles, not saying they're perfect though. Well, love you too. See you. Bye, Angel. Angel has to go. So you guys have to behave because Angel's nicer than me and I will start banning people. So like see you later. Enjoy your African drumming circle concert thing. Um so I don't know. I don't think it's a circle. I don't know if I'm just like yeah. So anyway, bye, Angel. Well, I I think the more we learn about them, the more it's like you have to you kind of look at them in awe in the way of, wow, I can't believe they didn't high chrome. Like, I can't believe they didn't all kill themselves. Like, that's the thing where it's like which writer we're talking about Giuliano, but we're generally talking about like we're talking generally about like writing about the Beatles and like how fans react with with the Beatles, you know what I'm saying? So I think where was I? Where was I? Somebody's gonna have to be my reminder person. Sam, um, May Pang said John and Paul made wonderful music during Snoot and a Toot. We've heard it. It's a drug-fueled mess. You can keep your opinions to yourself then, because I think it's cute. It's not just wonderful music. It's just a jam. Like, people hate jam bands these days. Come on. Why can't we just enjoy it? Anyway, so, um, like, where were we? Where were we? Well, Albert Goldman, I can't even I almost can't even talk about him because half the shit he says is like, that actually could get me in trouble. Like, it's very disturbing. Um, Lars, you need more blue people on here besides Angel. I know. I have one other person. It's just about the amount of like who I only want mods that I know in real life that I like really know that I'm very good friends with. So Sky was moderating the other night and that was nice during the Brian talk. And Sky, if you didn't watch my Brian live, we talk about Brian stuff that people don't talk about because people like to talk about Brian in like this one little sliver. Um the Beatles lived through things that few others do. Being a rock star is a dangerous life, high casualty rate. Yes, 27 Club is real for that reason. So when I think the more I think the more I learn about the Beatles, the more I'm in awe of them and the way I'm like, I don't know how they did it. But when that I worry that they come off I'm worried that they come off like when I say that I come off like I'm glazing them and saying like they're amazing people. It's more like you can't possibly understand what the fuck the Beatles went through. Like you so we have to at least give them that. Like if you're not able to say if you're not able to say like you have that's pretty crazy. Like that's pretty crazy what they went through and they handled it pretty well all things considered. Like and I think that they all handled it pretty I really still think that they all handled it pretty well all things considered. Um I made a promise says, "Hi Lars, just about to have dinner, but I thought I'd tune in. Your videos have been really insightful for me as a young Beatles fan. 20 on September 13th." Hey, guys, okay. Thank you. That's so sweet. And happy birthday coming up. Virgo, fellow Virgo. Yeah. So let's go. I hope your dinner's great. So, anyway, let's see here. I just I think like that kind of maybe comes off as awe-inspiring, but Giuliano apparently doesn't know how to separate fans enjoying the music aspect versus fans grappling with the severe humanity of all four of the Beatles. And I think maybe sometimes some fans I see like they they're they'll be like, "Well, nobody gives Paul shit." And it's like, "Well, in comparison, Paul was a cheater and like an asshole to work with at times versus, we're dealing with more out like a cheater with the girlfriends versus, George was like cheating on Patty in front of her and did a lot of stuff versus, you know what I'm saying? So I think maybe there's some infighting there. But Giuliano goes on to say, "Well, I think that the people who dislike my books are a vocal majority or minority." Oh, it's a majority. Um, Mark, I'm probably doing this because I'm putting something off right now, but also because I'm about to go really hard on Live Aid next week. So I won't be able to like connect with anybody. Um, so I want to connect and Fridays are good. Like there's more people that are able to do. Um, who was the ex of Paul's that said he kicked Martha and just left his shit by the door? I think you covered it. I did. It was in the White Album. That is Francie Schwartz. And the more like I've thought about her, the more I have a hard time with maybe believing some of those things. So, um, So he goes on, oh, it's Saturday here, so I guess it's okay. Um, so yeah, no, Mark, you're good. Thank you, I appreciate it. So, um, let's see, what was I gonna say? Is that true? I don't know if it's true. I have a hard time thinking that Paul was, any sort of, like, I think maybe he would have fed Martha human food, like, he would have been, like, maybe like, maybe not, like, the most responsible owner, like, I don't think that he, especially in '68, but I definitely don't think that there was any sort of abuse. She said that he would throw things at the cats, and I'm like, "No, he didn't." I can't imagine Paul throwing anything. Was Paul racist letter to John real? Didn't Francie tell that story? Francie did tell that story. The more I've thought about that, the more I'm wondering about it because so here's the likelihood of it. Um, w- she says, so John and Yoko go through fan mail every single day, which is impossible. I cannot imagine. This is actually something, okay, Lars, I'm going to have to write this down and then we'll come back to it. So they go through fan mail every day. They get it in a basket and they go through it. They find this one that says, "You and your Jap tart think you're hot shit," and it's not signed and it's a typewriter. So they know automatically that this is from Paul, and then they put it on the mantle. And John and Yoko are looking at him all like when he comes in and he goes, "Oh, that was just a bit of a joke." How would they know that that was from Paul during 1968 in the summer when they had just gotten together, the divorce wasn't finalized yet, and everyone was shitting on Yoko. Like, this was a common thing. Also, Beatles fans known for being really nice to the Beatles' wives' girlfriends, known for being extremely accepting and not weird. Please, like, all Beatle wives, that's one of the reasons why May Pang didn't want to, like, be known. She was like, "I'm good, like, don't do this to me." Like, it is a burden, it is not a gift to be in a relationship with a Beatle. It is extremely, frankly, dangerous. Like, it's dangerous. Like, girls would pull their hair and, like, follow them home, it's scary. So I'm like, how do we know that that was Paul that wrote that on a typewriter? And so we know that for sure, put that up on a thing, and then Paul says it's a joke. It's just a weird story. It's just a weird story. Um, though we know Paul's fine with using the word Jap. Though I think, like, most people were probably fine with using the word Jap in 1968. Not so sure. When did Frozen Jap come out? Um, so I don't know. I have a really hard time. Like, I don't want to discredit anyone who was legitimately in a relationship with Paul, and she was one of them. But it's like, I don't know. That one is just so weird. It's so weird. You would think Paul was always the one keeping peace, and Paul was really trying to keep peace. Is when this was 1980. Okay, so I don't know. I wasn't alive in 1980, but I do feel like maybe 12 years later, we would have been trying not to use it as much, right? Right. That being said, I live in the US where people, like, when I was growing up, still anti-Japanese sentiment is pretty strong. It was. I think it's strange calling that instrumental for Frozen Jap in 1980, yeah. So, um, I just have a hard time with Francine because she really loves the other Beatles and really hates Paul. Um, I did see an old film of Paul using an outdated term for a black person. I believe that that specific thing, what I know about is that he was talking about what Americans expect them to say. I'm pretty sure. But by the way, I don't know if you guys know this because I talk about it in Patreon all the time, but I'm like been struggling with migraines a lot lately, like real bad, and it's coming on right now. So we'll see how long I can stay. Because mine are really aura based, which means I can't say. Google aura migraines and, like, click on the image tab, and you'll see what I'm seeing right now. Chrome Destiny, the stupidest thing that Norman wrote is that the kids went to the airport on Feb 7th because they wanted a free T-shirt. That disqualifies Norman because he did not get it. Philip Norman shout and Ian McDonald's Revolution in the Head. So I use McDonald in my videos, and I haven't read it cover to cover because, like, frankly, it's a hard read. Like, this guy, I think he's very passionate about his work. So I don't wanna say that. I'm not saying that, but he for sure wrote that book, like, next to a thesaurus. 1000% wrote that next to a fucking thesaurus. And he's like, "I sound smart." And it's like, you don't have to use those big words to sound smart, Ian. Like, you can just be smart. So it's a hard read, but so I haven't read it cover to cover. I just look up whatever song I'm using. Though I have a hard time with Ian the more I work with him, like his stuff, because I'm like, I don't know if you're a Beatles fan. Like, I don't even know if you even like the Beatles. Um, Tim Riley's Tell Me Why. I have something by him. Does he have something else? This pen isn't working. Tim Riley, Tell Me Why. So if you guys actually, here, let me ask the experts. If you guys have, oh, Enchanted Essays is here. Go subscribe to Enchanted Essays, please. Please. She's just wonderful, and she makes a lot of UK media stuff, and she's so funny and makes amazing, amazing edits. I just love her stuff. Not to defend Paul, but it was more unacceptable in the US than the UK at the time. If I remember correctly, he said he didn't know it was offensive. That's okay. I think we definitely need to know cultural differences. McDonald's is very critical. I enjoy it. He takes All You Need Is Love apart. That's fine to be critical. Is the book John's sister wrote any good? I haven't read it in full, so I'm not going to be able to answer that properly. In which sister? Because there's two different books. Like, are you talking about Julia's book? Didn't she write one with him, Giuliano? Jane Asher was cheated on by Paul, but never says a word about Jane Asher has done, and this is not a slight. Like, this is not me talking shit on her. She has done every single thing she can to, like, erase that part from her life. So you can't ask her questions about it. You can't, like, she won't talk about it. And she didn't like it then either. She didn't want to talk. She really didn't want to talk about being with Paul in interviews because she was an actress, and being an actor, she wanted, like, people to take her seriously instead of just treating her like an accessory to the Beatles or to Paul specifically, obviously. I just got a message from my group chat. One of my friends just said, "I'm getting fired." Not the Abby and Nancy. Hang on. Is my friend getting fired? We won't tell anybody that this is happening, right? We'll keep it a secret. Okay. It was a joke. I'm so stupid. Does sumatriptan help your migraines? My ex had those and they are no joke. Sumatriptan, I don't know what that is. So I just saw my doctor if you guys want any unnecessary information on my health. So I just saw my doctor the other day. We changed around a couple of medications and changed 2 times of when I take medications, which I think Paul really benefited from Jane Asher not writing a tell-all. Yeah. Marcus, we should pin that comment. Can I pin a comment? Let's see. Put user in timeout. No. Okay. Pin message. Hell yeah. We're pinning that. Because I love that so much. No, I think no, I don't have any issue with people being critical, but I think it's hard when he's being critical, and I think he's a little snobby. So I just have a hard time. I think he's a little snobby. I completely understand why Jane never wanted to talk about her relationship with Paul. Frankly, if I had a relationship with Paul, I wouldn't want to talk about it either. Hi, Brian. Oh, hi, Brian. Okay, we're taking this off so I can stir it a little bit better. I think McDonald's favorite song of George's is from the White Album, Long, 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 right? In any case, reading his entry made me appreciate the song more. So this is fun. If you guys liked my White Album video at all, the reason why you have it is because one of my patrons actually suggested I do a song breakdown on Long, Long, Long. And so I didn't know very much about it because before I got into the White Album project, I did not listen to it very much at all. Hey, Brage, one thing I really hate is when people talk about Mal in the way that he made tea and that's it. So I will so quickly put you in timeout for that. I really don't like people devaluing people's work. And we know that Mal did more in the way of, yeah, he was around all the time. He protected the Beatles, like protected them. So we don't need to be doing all that. And that's a real quick way to do it. Angel is so much nicer than me. All these years later, I prefer George's White Album song more than Jay's or P's. Same. So anyway, so I start working on the Long, Long, Long thing. And is there an extended version of your White Album video? There is. It's on Patreon, patreon.com/LarsLand. You got to pay for it, but it's a lot crazier. And it is 11 and a half hours. And when I was working on that Long, Long, Long video, I was reading Ian McDonald's coverage and a couple of other places. And I was like, I kept listening to that song over and over and over again. And then, once I hit, off of repeat and started listening to the White Album, and here we are. Fuck. So you can blame my patron. I haven't read the Mal biography yet. You should. There's a lot there. I imagine he was killed. Yeah. So he was killed by police in America. That is one of the only Beatles videos I've seen was something like the tragic life of Mal Evans. And so I learned that like really early on in the Beatles, and just knowing that made me respect not just Mal, but everyone in the Beatles entourage, as one of my best friends, Sky, and I call it. Everyone like around them, and just the difficulty of that life must have been. Did they know what was going on? I mean, I presume he was high on something, but did they do an examination of him? I don't remember right now. I'm so having a hard time I'm seeing Aura. Spent an hour making a Spotify. If anyone knows about that off the top, because it's been a minute since I read the Mal book. I read so many books so often that like they kind of he did a legit suicide by cop. Yeah, that's rough. Okay, so back to the thing, my doctor's thing. We switched a couple medications around, and we're hoping that changing a couple of things will change things. But I have an autoimmune disorder, so things are hard with like picking the correct medication that won't cause issues with other things, because it's just like a pain situation where like if something goes wrong, then we're like in bed for a couple of weeks, which is shitty. His wife had left him. Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about Giuliano again, but I'll respond to other stuff too. But so Giuliano, I've heard so much shit about this guy from himself because he has a YouTube page. And I have not gone through his YouTube videos. I don't want those vibes on me. Evil eye, evil eye, evil eye, you know? But I like I've seen him in the comments, and I saw him in the comments of that Pop Goes the 60s video where people will say, like, they would criticize him, and then he would come in and say, "You live in a fantasy," like weird shit. And he'll say, "The majority of people love my books. It's you guys are this like this vocal minority that don't like my books because so many people love my books." Yeah, people read tabloids. People read trash, like, people want the skinny, and I'm assuming that people who read Giuliano's books about the Beatles, they were probably like, I have a trash book about some mistress with, from Elvis, and it was co-written by someone who, like, does that for a job. It is a fun read. Like, it is a fun read. It's actually really fun um, like, listen to, like, to read, and you're like, "Ooh, tea." People love tea. That's why people watch 15-part series on TikTok about someone falling in love with their psychiatrist. That's why people like your books, because they're entertaining, because 'cause they're fucking fiction. Like, it's just crazy, that's why. So he takes that and says that we're all delusional and that we all just love to think that the Beatles are perfect, which I think we really don't. At least my group doesn't. You guys are my group. Um, it's honestly why the book was good. The Lou book was good. Fake tea, yeah. John apparently dealt with painful memories by pretending they never happened. Cynthia said that in her book. Yeah. Um, John was very much like, I think in some ways similar to the way my family did things, which was big eruption, apology, and then like we're good now. Like, we're good now. We're going to pretend it never happened. Maybe things will or won't change. Um, but it's like we're going to pretend, because it is so hard to process this stuff, that we're just not going to pretend it. We're going to pretend it didn't happen, which I think is pretty normal. Like, I don't not like normal good, but I think it's like, it's understandable. I watch Do We Know Them for all that stuff. The only way I stay informed of any of that. Yeah, Do We Know Them does some good stuff with that. I watch drama channels. Like, I used to watch them a lot when I was, like, into makeup, because the drama channel stuff was, like, very much intense on that. I'm suspicious of people who quote conversations verbatim from 50 years ago. Unless you had a tape recorder, that would be impossible to quote accurately. If you're quoting anything, like, these extremely it's Giuliano, it's Geoffrey Giuliano is the worst author. And Albert Goldman is also pretty bad, but, like, I feel like reading Goldman, you're reading it and you're like, "Oh, this is for sure fake." Like, and I don't know. He's just so well known as a faker that, he's Goldman is so well known as a faker that I one of the first comments I got on my domestic violence video was, "Albert Goldman is known for selling stories," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't quote him. He wasn't part of this." Like, he was part he like I said at the beginning of that video, none of this is my story. I read completely from people who their own accounts of what happened. I didn't I didn't use any author's accounts. It was all from first person stuff. So it wasn't my words. Like, it wasn't Goldman's words. It wasn't, Mark Spitz. It wasn't anybody. I love asking when I don't have a clue about any Beatles authors. I swear I'm trying to read more books. You're good. Goldman is frustrating. Once upon a time, he was a good music critic. Then came his books. Isn't that sad? Norman is accurate about the feel of the era. And isn't that sad? Where people have, like, really redeeming aspects of their work, and you're like, "Oh, that was good." Damn. There's someone I'm reading for the Live Aid video, and it's interesting because it's, like, breaking down 70 acts here. by like this, and then it will go, and it's beautifully written. It will go into like this thing about the 80s, this thing about the 80s, this thing about an 80s, and so it'll like kind of break down and explain the 1980s and how what Live Aid was. It contextualizes it really well. And so you're like, wow, you're a really great author. But because of it being a Live Aid being a live broadcast and going to so much of the world, obviously he spent some time on All You Need Is Love, which I've spent my All You Need Is Love video was like 30 minutes, less than that. And the amount of stuff I left out was crazy, but the amount of work I went into learning about it was really fun. It was so fun. Um, and so I know what he got wrong, which was a lot of it. And so then I was like, well, now I'm very disenchanted with you, sir. And then he obviously writes about George because of Concert for Bangladesh and Live Aid. And so I was like, well, now I'm also disenchanted with you, sir. So it's like, it's tough because I think he probably gets all these 1980s things correct. But the Beatles, it's so easy to just go on to like get one of the Bill Harry's Beatles encyclopedias or something like that, which love Bill Harry, like no hate. Or Tim Hill has stuff like that. So you go and you look up All You Need Is Love and you're like, okay, cool. Like I got the stats on who was watching and like this fun little quote from George Martin, and that's enough. But it's really not, you know. Giuliano is not Goldman in that he doesn't really have malice in his heart, but he's also not interested in covering up anybody's mistakes either. So I disagree about not having malice in his heart because, I do think Goldman has something like medically, clinically, spiritually wrong with him. But I'm starting to think, um, okay, hang on, I'm catching up. Okay, let me finish my thought. But Giuliano, he sold that photo of George at somebody, I forget whose house, and there was a picture of Hitler behind him. It was just super grainy and hard to see. But then it sold the story to, I think, Inquirer, and that became this big story about like, oh, George has tons of Nazi memorabilia. He wasn't at his own house, and it became this big story. And then obviously George sued the Inquirer, and the Inquirer sued Giuliano for doing that. You can't be a good person for wanting to do that. Like that's not a good person. That's not good person energy. That is little dog behavior. It's not big dog behavior. Um, so I think he's got at least little dog behavior in him. Stuck on Wax, have a good night. Oh, you were truly a national treasure and must be protected at all costs. No smoke up ass. I don't know, but I'll take it. I used to listen to the podcast, something about the Beatles. They said Goldman's book was well researched, but then fell down a composition phase, and someone should take the interviews done for and make it a better book. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we had access to all these author interviews? Don't judge my singing. I never did any of that shit. I spent my entire childhood and young adulthood in a pool. So I never learned anything else. There was a series here recently where they interviewed every single girlfriend of Elvis went out with from the 50s to the 70s. Weird but interesting. Can I just say something? And the Beatles did this too. What is up with the like telling your girlfriends how to dress thing? Like that wasn't a thing. The girls growing up for me, being a femme, the girls like wanted to dress very nice for the boys. So we pay attention about like what's popular in making the makeup perfect. Like you perfect, good perfume, good everything. You got to look good. They would never tell you because they're clueless. Like they would never know. Like, what is that? You could never tell me what to wear. It's more like you pull, I don't know, I can't think of the person I'm thinking of is Kourtney Kardashian, and I don't even watch the Kardashians, but she has this thing where she'll like date somebody and then she becomes that person. So it's like she was like dating this one guy and she was like very bougie because that guy was very bougie. And then she got married to Travis Barker. And so she became like a punk girl. You know, you like lose your identity with somebody. Okay, let's scroll up. If Olivia Harrison has publicly shit talked you, then you have to have malice in your heart, not gonna lie. So let's talk about that real quick. Let's do it. Hang on, because I have it. Is one of the most hilarious things. Not like hilarious in a good way, frankly, but I just had it. Where is it? Okay. This is after that after that lawsuit. Olivia Harrison wrote a letter to The Guardian in 1992, September 1992. Or wait, this was October 5th, 1992. And Olivia Harrison is like she's got a lot of patience and a lot of understanding because George is a dog, you know. And she was just like, he had a lot of extremes. George loved women, but we loved each other. Like, she was a very understanding lady. She's here. She is a very understanding lady of all kinds of stuff. And she's very like, I feel like she's very smart. And I feel like she can see the human in almost every situation. Here's what she wrote about our buddy, who I truly believe has malice in his heart. The sight of Geoffrey Giuliano's face is enough to make anyone a recluse. My husband once made the remark, that guy knows more about my life than I do, which is a quote that Giuliano went on to use to like endorse and promote his books, which is like so trash. Mr. Giuliano missed the joke and used it to endorse his book. Here we go. To rate himself as the world's greatest rock and roller biographer, a laughable title in the first place, is nothing but delusion. Hey, Jackie. He has only ever been in the vicinity of my husband for about 10 minutes and considers himself an expert. He parades as a spiritual person while condemning the famous, yet without them, his achievements in this life wouldn't rate one line in any newspaper. To judge Paul McCartney as vacuous and shallow, after all Paul has written and offered the world, is surely a judgment of an arrogant mind, especially as Giuliano's own recognition is not because he is creative, but because, like a starving dog, he scavenges from his heroes, picking up bits of gristle and sinew along the way, repackaging them for consumption by a gullible public. His life is a curse to himself, and perhaps his admitted 300 acid trips by the age of 19 have something to do with it. I'm sick of this guy. Olivia, in parentheses, Mrs. George, Henley-on-Thames. Girl, you tell him. You fucking tell him, Olivia. Olivia. You fucking go, girl. Time Lord guy. Lars, do you think Paul is exaggerating when he says him and John got on in the end and made peace? I don't blame him, of course. Of course, but would you want to something in the end? Because the thing, no, I don't think he's exaggerating. I think because you have to listen to the way he's talking. We got on in the end. Like we saw each other several times, like more than three to six times in the late 70s, between 75 and 80. I think the last one was 78 or 79. We still don't know exactly when. I believe, frankly, that any relationship that Paul and John had in the late era would have been downplayed by Yoko if asked. And I know for, not a fact, because I'm not going to say that, but I know from what I've read, and just we have to accept this, that Yoko screened his calls and kept John from speaking to people he wanted to speak to, and that Paul did regularly try to call John. So I don't think that the call went through all the time. Yes, Paul was exaggerating. John said Paul couldn't come to the Dakota with his guitar. It's not 1957. So I want to remind you, Brage, I'm putting you in timeout, by the way, because I think that you're not being, like, you've been a little abrasive. I'm not into it. I I want to remind you who he was with. Like, I don't even hate Yoko, but he was next to Yoko during that conversation. You take one quote and say this is exactly how things were, and then go on and forget the rest of the interview. Read the interview, see which John you're talking to that day. Because John, in a different interview, says lots of really kind things about Paul. Pay attention. Pay attention. Like, if we're going, because we only have so much from John. So there's no excuse. If we're going to make sweeping statements, such as Paul was exaggerating about the end of the friendship, that the biggest, most important relationship in both of their lives. I don't care about Yoko or Cynthia if we're talking about, let's be fucking real. This is, oh, I'm heated. Paul and John, biggest relationship in both of their lives ever. So if we're going to make sweeping fucking statements, do your fucking work. Pay attention. No. Also, does that not show you something? That Paul shows up with a guitar in the late 1970s. Does that not show you something where Paul was on that end? Where Paul was on that end? What was Paul trying to do? What kind of bridges were trying to be gapped? What kind of impression did he have of his relationship with John that he could have, and then John didn't let him that day? We know what kind of control Yoko had. No hate to Yoko. I think that there are things that we need to criticize. This is one of them. What kind of control did Yoko have on John's decisions? She made that decision that day. And then John will get to criticize because it got to be public knowledge that Paul was turned away. So John's asked about it. He's going to come to his own defense because John takes care of John. He said that so many times. It's my ego. It's a matter of pride. I take care of myself first, always. John always does that. So where are we? Is that an exaggeration or is that a willful read from the public? It's not. Like, it's not an exaggeration. It's just this. We see it one time. We see it one time and we're like, oh, they hated each other. I'm so sick of this shit. Yoko is nuanced for me. She has some albums I like and some I don't. And I think I have a really hard time with the way she treated Julian. I have a really hard time for other things. You know, like on both ends of this. I've done a pretty good job of explaining this in my White Album video. Let's scroll up for a second. Let's see. There were things that I just completely missed. Oh my God. John did write extensive diaries in the late 1970s. Maybe someday that will be available. I'm guessing it was pretty personal. So they were stolen by seamen, but Giuliano says that he saw stuff about it, wrote a book on it. I really do in parts of those diaries are made public, but the Lennon estate is just so into the John and Yoko love story that the things that we do see are public are very much intended for and build up those narratives. I can't see shit right now, or migraines suck. If you heard the somewhat disturbing stuff from the stolen John Lennon audio tape, you knew John was dealing with a lot of shit from the past. John wasn't doing great. John, like, I think fans are really reticent to deal with this. John had relapses with heroin, like, I think his last relapse that we're like speculative about is 78. John struggled with this on and off. Like, he struggled with extremes, like extreme diet, extreme, this is going to fix me, which, dude, I get, you know what I'm saying? But like, this is going to fix me for real this time. It's going to fix me for real this time. And he didn't have access to the therapy that I think someone who, this is me putting it on him, but it's possible he had borderline personality disorder. He didn't have DBT or CBT, like these kinds of therapies that are known to help folks with this and cope. And so John is like dealing with the extremes, highs and lows, and like, let's find a way to fix it. Can't fix it. Because, even the happiest times with the Beatles, like, he still couldn't fix this shit. And yes, they were planning to write together, or at least meet up, John and Paul, in 1981. I wish they would have gotten to record in '81. Like, I think that things would have been different. Have you seen Two of Us, the movie? Yeah, that's a fanfic movie. I everybody loves it except for me. I feel bad. I just don't see it as, like, I don't know. Let's see here. I doubt it a bit, Jade, because of how busy John and Yoko and Ringo with John too were going to be in 1981, but who knows? That's not I George, I disagree. It was on the books in February, and it doesn't mean like as far as booking a session, don't know that. Like meeting up was on the books in February 81. So booking a session would probably be 82. John was planning on touring. Even Paul McCartney loved it since he knew it was fantasy, but he wished it was what happened. I think he would have loved to have those times. Like, I think I think Paul not I think, I know Paul has said that it really struggles. Like, I think he's gotten a lot better with it in the last 10 years because he talks about John a lot, but I think it was really, really, really hard, um, for him, and just, like, men and the inability to express your feelings still now, but especially then, and, like, the inability and the unacceptable nature of just saying, "I love that person." You know what I mean? I made a promise. Do you think John could have also benefited from EMDR therapy? Asking genuinely. So I have never had that type of therapy, but I think it's helped a lot of people. I was really heartbroken to hear that one of my friends who, really benefited from that therapy kind of stopped hi, Jackie, kind of stopped going, and he recently committed suicide. Oh, we shouldn't say committed suicide, that makes it sound like a crime, which isn't woke, by the way, that is from, AP, Associated Press, we no longer say that. We say, "Died at home." Have you seen Lindsay Ellis's video on the breakup? No, I'm not interested in that. Do you think Paul and John had something beyond friendship? That can't be talked about in a live chat without lots of work and writing beforehand. Um, I know all I'm gonna say about that is that there's a book that's being worked on that may allow us to see more than we know, and the John and Paul book, I started it, I was about 50 pages in, and then I started working on Live Aid. The one by is it Ian Leslie? It's good, it's good. Macca arrived at the Dakota with a guitar. He was told to leave because it wasn't 1959 anymore. You just you just missed my big rant. I'm so done with you. I'm so done with all of you guys. I'm just kidding. Sort of. I can't see anything. Hang on. Stupid migraines. Giuliano is a ruthlessly opportunistic, give you that, but the reason his connections are so good and he's known many people in the industry tells you he's not the quite of the devil that make him out to be. Okay. How mean what can I say to that? Harvey Weinstein had a lot of connections in the industry. Connections mean nothing. Like, Phil Spector's an amazing producer and apparently an extremely good dad, according to his daughter. But is he, like, great as a person? Didn't he make mistakes as a person? This is Jack. Um, he's like my little mascot. So, like, people I would say me, okay, I'm like a decent journalist and I make pretty alright videos. But, like, as a person, I'm kind of abrasive as an asshole, and I'm pretty self-absorbed in the way that I run on my own schedule, and I have a hard time, like, being open with letting people in, and, like, I'm extremely, like, hoardy about my work, so I don't share it with, like, anybody. Um, there's all these kinds of things that you have to know about people. Like, I need so much alone time. I work from home, and I spend all my time at home. I don't flash the camera. I make all my schedules and everything, and I still need alone time for my partner who works seconds at night. Like, so it's like you might be good at this thing, this thing, this thing, and be kind of an asshole, you know? Does Jack have any comments on the Beatles? Jack likes, I gotta say, guys, this is controversial, and I need you guys to still love Jack. But he really likes With the Beatles, but he doesn't really like Rubber Soul. I'm not lying. When I was playing certain albums out loud a lot, he was around for With the Beatles. He kicked it when it was time for Rubber Soul. Buddy, I'm fine with the Beatles, but he kicked it for Rubber Soul. Now, I'll tell you guys, what are your thoughts on the Paul is dead conspiracy? I've been seeing more people believe it somehow. I made a video on it. I think it's ridiculous. It is the funniest, like the craziest, most impossible theory ever. I don't get how people like legitimately believe it. The Elliot Mintz interview with Billy Corgan actually goes in depth about the times I watched it. I'm a Smashing Pumpkins fan. Billy Corgan's tough. Jack is adorable. I respect his opinion, but Rubber Soul, Sam, you're so correct. Oh my God, your Paul is dead video is always the first thing on my YouTube recommended for some reason. That is insane because very crazy. Jesus, very crazy. That video legitimately shadowed my channel for about 3 weeks. And like usually if whatever impact, this is for my, I don't know how it is for other people. Whatever impact or like movement I've had on any video or anything on my channel will change once I do a new upload, okay? So it's like I upload something, it does extremely well, and then I try to give it some time to breathe because of the length of my videos. If I upload any, like the shortest amount will be 10 days. So I put up something else and it like wipes the next one. That um that video kept like I couldn't get it past I think 400 views. And at that point I was averaging like 1,000 to 3,000. And I was like, come on. And I went on Twitter, which was something that like I would do, like go watch it, go click, go whatever, what I do on Instagram now. But I would like I would post so many times and I'd be like, guys, just go click on it. Like it doesn't get repeat views. So you need like your grandma to click on it. Please just go click on it. And like people were trying. It just wasn't going. Does Jack vocalize much? Yeah, Jack. Jack. Oh, he's not going to do it now. I'm liking you and the way you do critique so far. Big Beatles fans. Big Beatles fan of music too. Thank you. There's like a group of people. This was my favorite thing that I learned about the Paul is dead people is that I learned it after I put my video up, is that they are called PIDers. And I was like, you guys could have picked something better. Pitter. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin here in the UK, so I'm off to bed now. Good night, Lars. Enchanted Essays, I'm so sorry that you showed up when I got angry. Everybody go subscribe to Enchanted Essays. I'd rather you click off and subscribe to her than watch me be an idiot. When Paul actually does pass on, you'll get a chorus of people saying he really died in the 60s and Billy Shears is the one who died now. It's crazy. Can you imagine like believing that it was a different guy and hearing him sing the same? And also like it's impossible to really like you can get all kinds of plastic surgery. You can't, I mean, in the 60s, plastic surgery still was plastic surgery, but it was not like the way it is now. They didn't have deep plane stuff. But you can get all kinds of plastic surgery. You can't fake the little wrinkle he has in his nose that he's had his whole life. So, like, that's something. Jack was your partner. He's my partner in crime. He's over here. He's not talking to me. Oh, someone asked about him vocalizing. So he's very noisy and he likes to go like with birds. He's extremely chatty. He has a couple of different meows. So he's got like a meow when he wants you to come on, and then he's got like a meow when he wants to play. And he's just extremely noisy. But the loudest one we have is Nails, who meows like, well, when he's zooming, he does like this turkey noise that's like, hang on. Like that. It's a lot. It's a lot, Robin, okay? And he runs, and then Jack came over. He was like, "Are you good?" And then Nails will like stand outside. That's not the real Jack, of course. It was the double Lars switched him for. Yes, justice for James Paul McCartney's fucking psychotic. Okay. Spring Heel Gem may paying is pathetic. I think you're removed, by the way. We can't be saying that shit. I think naming your username after a murderer is pathetic. Imagine finding someone that not only looks like Paul, but also can play left-handed bass and write songs better than the original Paul with the same voice. It's impossible. Like, I'm just not, but still, like, the little nose thing and the like, he scratches his nose with the middle finger, which everybody in the US is like, "He's flipping us off." No, he's not. That wasn't, like, a thing when he was growing up. It was this when he was growing up. Lars blocked him 5 seconds after I did. I just, like, I don't tolerate really, like, if you're ever gonna call Yoko a dragon woman in my comment section, you're blocked. You're hidden forever. Like, you're not. I have so much hate. Like, I used to really, really like struggle with Yoko, and I still do. And there are things that I struggle with, and I have to understand. Spring Heel Jack was like a Victorian monster that breathed fire. I thought it was like one of the names for murder. Anyway, I don't care. Either way. Oh, Chris, thank you so much. Thank you, Chris. Chris is the Gen X Muse podcast, by the way, guys. Go to Spotify, Gen X, like the generation, Muse podcast, Gen X Muse podcast. Chris knows so much about the Beatles, like dictionary, really fun, good girly pop vibes. Go watch Chris or listen to Chris. Chris will be getting a YouTube channel eventually, and we'll be able to watch them, and that'll be fun. So go give your fellow Beatle friends a little bit of love. But it was named after Jack the Ripper. Someone wrote a Yoko bio that was recently published. Have you read it? I'm curious. I have. It's David Sheff, and that is going to be a video. So we're going to leave it there. I can't wait till you're on YouTube, because we will be doing Zooms. We will be doing lives. Chris, we're going to be going crazy. People are going to be trying so hard to get us to shut up. People will be like, "We're going to unsubscribe to Lars." And I'm going to be like, "That's fine. Look at us crazy bitches over here, Chris and I." It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. It's alleged that the two-finger insult came from archers taunting enemy soldiers in the Middle Ages to come cut off their fingers to stop them from firing arrows. Very funny. I love that. I'm assuming, Sam, it's probably available on your like library apps. I love how Yoko just uses all the names and phrases she was called and reclaims them. Yeah. Like, Yoko and I fight, but I think it's very easy for like millennials and Gen Z to be like, "Wow, lukewarm feminism from the but in the 60s, she was like coming after some stuff, talking and thinking about things that a lot of people weren't even going to talk and think about, you know? And so I think we've gotta give her that, you know? And I think she's just I think she's fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean? I have issues with yeah, I have issues with the way that I have issues with the way she treated John. I have issues with the way she treated Paul, you know. My biggest issues obviously are with the way she treated Julian. And that's tough. Like I just like that's tough. And I don't know how to, you know, deal with that. Um I just don't know. I think the pain around that but, like, there are things that I just think of all the pain that she's been through. How many miscarriages? Like, a late term miscarriage, the one like, I'm pretty sure that one was considered a stillbirth. It is so heartbreaking. Like, she's been through her childhood growing up in Japan, right during and after the war. Like, she's been through shit that I just can't I literally and same with the Beatles cannot fathom what she's been through. She's fucking weird, like, but I think she and John were equally weird. Athena. Oh, is that Athena, Athena? I have issues with Yoko, but I think it's a beautiful thing to see a woman of color proudly take up space back then, if that makes sense. Yes, it does make sense. Is that Athena? Like, go walk along with Angel Athena? No, it's not, but it's okay, Athena. I love to see you anyway. Yoko is my fave, but I always get nervous saying that in Beatle spaces. Nobody's gonna demonize you here. If I see someone demonizing you for loving Yoko here, we're gonna block them so quick. You get to love the Yoko here. Even when as long as you let me as long as you let me criticize her. Like, as long as you let me criticize her and the issues that she needs to be Yoko, justice for Julian. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, you should be able to we should be able to talk about all of it um, because, like, all of those things happened. There are good things about Yoko and there are bad things about Yoko. And Yoko, she confuses me, and I have a really difficult time, like, you know, with her. It's tough because I'm like, you know, as a child of divorce, I just cannot understand. I my parents well, my dad remarried. My dad has been married 5 times. He's on number 5 now, and I just hope that he sticks it out until he dies because, like, good lord, sir, like, she seems okay. Um, but anyway, so my dad did move on, but, like, we were so it didn't matter what would have happened. But with a young child and John, I think having really reactive issues trying to figure out how to be a father. The way that she kept Julian away was so weird to me, and I don't understand. So that's one thing, but I can't let that color everything, and that sucks because as a as a person, like as a human, I just want it to color everything. And I just want to be like, fuck her, fuck her. Like if one of my friends, like my best friend Spence, came to me and was like, "Yeah, so Bill and Bonnie got a divorce when I was 10, you know, no, younger than that. I was like, whatever." And and Bill's new wife wouldn't let me talk to him. And so we didn't get to really have a relationship and Bill died when I was young. Um, if you want to call what Yoko did art, then I suggest you develop critical faculties in art appreciation. Jay, you are in timeout. Buddy, I like you too. Damn it. I like you too, Jay. God. We can disagree. We can disagree thoroughly and not talk like that to each other, right? Unblock Martin McGrath or faces wrath. Fine. I'm not unblocking Martin. Martin, here, if you're watching, here's the thing. You sent me too many messages, it made me uncomfortable, I felt like I had to respond to you, and I didn't want to respond to you, and it felt weird. You made me feel uncomfortable, and then you come on here, and I think you get a rise out of making me angry and upset, so I don't want to see your comments on my channel. So, like, I hope that you learn how to interact with people in better ways, and I get to do those things. Like, I get to hide people. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I just like, this was a conversation Angel and I've had a couple times about you, Martin, is that you've said some stuff that, like, not just coming from me, but other people in the chat, that makes people in the chat uncomfortable. And I don't want people in the chat to be uncomfortable. And also John Wilkes Booth, another murder name. Why are we doing that? Okay, what seals the deal on Yoko for me is her insistent that John cede full financial control to her as a condition for taking him back after his lost weekend with May paying. That's not love. See, that's really tough. Like, there's just it's really confused. Like, I'm really confused on Yoko because I in some ways, the one person I wish I could, like, really have a frank conversation with is John about his relationship with Yoko, but Yoko couldn't be around. There would have to be, like, literal conditions about how much he had been talking to Yoko before and after that conversation, because John was um, so well controlled by her, and John really liked having someone kinda tell him what to do. I think he was really lost and needed a lot of, like, needed a lot of guidance and easily taken a ride on, but I think there's a lot of, just so black and white with Yoko, but generally black. But I still think, and this is crazy, like, probably considering the stuff we're talking about in the chat that's, like, really dark and legitimate, right? Um, my biggest issue to this day with Yoko is, like, the absolute harping on of the John and Yoko love narrative is so, like, the focus on it from the estate erases everything else. It's really disturbing. Once John agreed to give Yoko full financial control, he was in a trap he would never get out of. His murder released him from it, awful though that is. I don't know what to say to that. Um, how's your migraine thing? Not great, Jay. I give credit to Julian not for letting that interfere with his relationship with Sean as a big brother. Yeah. Julian and Sean are, like, the thing that's makes it really, like, it's just so nuanced. And I have such a hard time with Yoko because it's like it immediately goes to Dragon Lady, but there's so much that is just not ideal about her. But I like her, like, cut piece. That's crazy cool. Cut piece is crazy cool. Whatever you feel about Yoko, the racist marks are even when suggesting it, are completely out of line, and I said that to someone who's not a big fan. I agree. I think I suggest, and this is tough because I really came up with, like, I started out extremely sympathetic toward Yoko, and I didn't know a lot. And then within a couple of months, I became extremely unsympathetic toward Yoko for about a year and a half. And I've only been into the Beatles for about 3 years, okay? And then I challenged myself to whatever you say. I have a lot of time. I challenged myself to make time for Yoko, which wasn't comfortable because I don't always like looking at her face, and I there are things I really hate, and I really feel for Julian because I had a cheating piece of a shit dad. Um I had a really mean yelling dad that, like, the things that you say and, like, stick with you really badly. Um, and so I didn't want I was like, "Man," but then it's like I'm putting myself really into this. I'm really projecting my problems onto Julian here, and that's hard. And then I see pictures of Julian with in Cynthia with Yoko and Sean, and somehow I feel disappointed with Julian and Cynthia. What is that about? What is that? Like, where am I on this? I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Um, where I am on this, and, like, I think that there's a lot of, like, human projection, understandably, on, John and Yoko Ono, and I really just, like, I kinda just wish sometimes I'm like, "I wish Cynthia, like, slapped her or something," like, and then I'm like, "What kind of person am I for saying that or thinking that or whatever?" And I don't know. I worry that, I just worry about, like, where I go with that. And then ultimately, like, how, I'm not looking at chat right now, how, objective I am when I'm bringing any information to you guys, because a lot of the time, I would say, like, 98% of the time, you guys know more about these subjects than me, but then sometimes people will say, "I've been a Beatles fan for XYZ years, and I learned something new from you that I didn't know before," and I do feel a responsibility toward that, so, like, what am I doing? And so I want people to, like Trace Vector said, I want people to make time for Yoko because we make time for Cynthia and Patty, and we even make time for Maureen, who did something pretty rough, and so it's like, I just I just really don't understand Yoko, and I have a lot of anger toward her at times, and then I'm like, "Should I have anger towards someone I don't know?" And I don't know, I think the best way I can manage that is by quoting Julian and, like, giving information in the most accurate way that I can, and so everyone can be left with their own information and draw their own conclusions and hopefully make time for these really difficult situations, and I hope that people are willing to go make time for her childhood and try to put themselves in that situation because it's fucking weird. Like, it's very different. I can't even, like, there are things where it's like I can't empathize because it is so beyond the understanding of me as a human where I'm like, I don't know what to think. Hang on, let me look. So, here's the thing. Then Yoko says things like she didn't know who the Beatles were. That's bullshit. You're joking about Spectre, right? I wasn't joking. I was saying, like, he's a great producer. I think he's a great producer. I'm talking specifically mostly, like, about those earlier songs, not so much in the '70s. I'm talking about with the Ronettes and stuff like that. The earlier stuff, really great stuff. He's prolific, and his daughter talks about him, like, in amazing ways. I'm not his kid, I don't know, but I think he's a bad person. So it's like it's hard, like, there are pros and cons, and that sucks. Did anyone watch that old Uncomfortable video where Julian got Cynthia to hug Yoko? Yes, I did, and it made me wanna crawl under a fucking rock. My dad loved his sons while complete shit to his daughter. He never wanted a girl, he said. Lars, I'm there with you. I had a crap dad so I feel for Julian and Sean. 3 years, it's crazy how much you know in 3 years. Crazy is the word for it, like the negative way. Derek, you're fine. I still have a feeling when Yoko passes, Sean will do the right thing with Julie, and it's complicated. I have no concerns about Julian and Sean as their relationship. Um, I'm not concerned about Julian and Sean as a relationship. I wonder if I do wonder sometimes, like, does Julian want something to do with, like, because Sean is now, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, I think a lot of people do know this. Like Sean is completely in control of the Lennon estate, the projects that they put out and everything. That's all his now. Yoko has nothing to do with it. I kind of wonder, does Julian want anything to do with that? Hang on. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to read. A case could be made that John would have died earlier if it wasn't for Yoko. With that in mind, I've always been appreciative of Yoko to a large degree. It is a case could be made like it's just really weird. Like it's just really hard. I do think, and I'm gonna stand by this, that May was a better, like a healthier partner for John. But you need to read Loving John, her book. It's available on archive. I think you might. There's an alternate title, The Lost Weekend by May Pang. um, so it shows in watch her documentary, she says, like, it wasn't like he got away from Yoko and was suddenly very well behaved. He wasn't. He was still really struggling, but he was more willing to do things, but it made me appreciate that John was like so out of control, you know? Oh, Debesh. I feel like Julian grew up to be the man John would have liked him to be. I agree. It's perfectly okay to not be a fan of Yoko. It just seems like her crimes are proportionate to aren't are it doesn't seem like her crimes are proportionate to all the vitriol she's gotten for decades. So like I think generally I don't see the okay, so the Yoko broke up the Beatles thing. I don't really see that very often. What I do see what I do see is people saying, "She didn't break up the Beatles." Like, nobody it was like, "Okay, grandpa, nobody said that she did." The reason why that's a conversation is because people are now because people are always talking about how she didn't. I think that maybe that subject has been covered so well and so thoroughly that people generally understand that there were several it was a hand with several fingers and many wedges that caused it. And I think that Yoko was one of the wedges. I think that the breakup was going to happen with or without her, okay? But I think it did become more divisive amongst them because she was there. And I think that it's really rose-colored glasses if you want to say that that's not true because she was there. And I think not Yoko, Linda made it more divisive as well. Like with or without Eastman becoming part of the management situation, I think Linda was really wanting to get Paul to stand up for himself. So, and I don't always disagree with the things she wanted Paul to say. Like, I'm like, "No, I get it," but she didn't make it any easier, right? The similarity between Yoko and John's strict Aunt Mimi has been remarked upon. John's sister thought Yoko reminded him of his mother in that she was artistic and fey. Fun to speculate, we'll never know. So I think that John was really appreciative and comfortable with extreme control. Lars, you are crazy. I know. And then she said, "Actually, I knew who they were, but I didn't know who John was." Yeah, sure. She's had a good year in terms of news outlets reevaluating her since the chef biography, which was great to see. I I have thoughts on the chef biography, but we're gonna leave it for a later thing. Yeah, that's my wonder too. The question is, does Julian want anything to do with Apple core projects as there was more in the '60s? I don't know. Yoko is 92. Yes, she is. Um, she is hanging out on a farm in, I believe, upstate New York and just vibing, and honestly, she's been she's been through some shit. I hope that her last few years are really nice and chill. I hope that she's eating chocolate. I hope that she's being kind to her staff, and I hope that she's just, you know, thinking r/I'm 14 and this is deep, you know? I hope that she's feeling great about herself. In Yoko's defense, I've never blamed her for 1 second for breaking up the Beatles. They were grown men who made that choice. Yeah, I think you might be in a small, because people did at one point usually. Oh, hey, Brian. My brother met Yoko at a bar around 2010. I know this is true because he doesn't lie. She has/had a really young boyfriend. Yeah, she did or does. I'm not quite sure. The guy that Yoko, moved in with her or tried to move in with her right after John's death, she was, like, already kind of obsessed with him, but it it wasn't it's kind of speculated on whether or not that was a romantic relationship. Yoko gets obsessed with things, shocking, and she was like she wanted him around a lot. I'll give credit for Spector being a great producer, but the man has done unforgivable and unredeemable things. Didn't I say that? I think I said that, like, exactly that. Like I said, he's a bad person. Like, so it's, like, hard when you're talking, you can't remove this from this. Like, you have to have all of these things. When we're talking about historiography, Taylor, we have to have all of these things. Like, it can't we can't remove it all. In no way does someone's art or work redeem what they did as human beings. So we can't take them out. I said, like, exactly that, and I have seen that documentary. In a selfish way, I'm kinda glad that John was still seeing May Pang on the side till the end. Me too. I wish that he had stayed with May. I'm, like, good for him for having a child. I'm not gonna say any more on that, but I do wish that he had stayed with May. Alan Klein looked kinda like a mobster. Well, looks weren't deceiving with Klein. Here, Chrome Destiny saying some shit. I think some good shit, some agreeable shit. I think Spector's production was good in the early '60s, then start falling off hard after '66. I like the way he sequenced Let It Be, other than not having Don't Let Me Down. I can't get into this. You're good. His mega production on the ballads. I don't really love the Let It Be mega production. It felt weird the first time I heard the naked version. Sean could be more likable if he could reel himself in on Twitter. My God. Team Lewisohn. Henry, you good luck, bud. He's honest, and his writings about the early years are second to none. Okay. Read the footnotes. It's very disgusting how someone will splice in quotes all kinds of stuff. Tune-In is the definitive book on the Fabs. How embarrassing. Okay, anyway, just embarrassing. It's underrated, that nasty letter, which has been printed, where John personally attacks Linda as a wedge between the two men. Obviously, as the couples went out together, this got patched up. Yeah, one of my favorite photos of Linda is with her and Yoko, and she's, like, fucking up Yoko's hair. Very cute. I think Let It Be Naked was an improvement, although my favorite version would be the 1969-70 John Glenn's mixes, except, mine, horrendous sound quality. The John's versions are difficult, like, because of the year, so you're just Harrison accusing Lewisohn of bootlegging is despicable. Despicable is an interesting word you're using when he did that. Okay. I just feel like if Olivia and George didn't like Lewisohn to the degree that they've blocked him from the estate when he had so much access, it says something to me. Alcline Pone. Does this count if someone brought it up and started saying really nice shit about Mark Lewisohn? 17, that's embarrassing. Henry Lamone. We found Lewisohn's second account, even though, Henry, I don't think you knew who we were talking about. We weren't talking really. We talked about Lewisohn for like 5 minutes, then we talked about Giuliano, and then, as everyone knows, that I get off track really quickly. Yeah, who's up Allening their Klein? Who's up alting? Who's up glazing their favorite authors? I don't know. You guys, like, if you're around, you guys have to know that I hold the same standards for everyone, right? Like, for all hi, buddy. For all of the authors. You guys know this, right? Like, you guys agree, right? That, like, it's it's not it doesn't matter who the author is. Nasty Olivia taking advantage of her authority to blacklist Lewisohn and get now and then released. Sickening. Oh my god. This is his alt. Oh, honey, he's not gonna fuck you. Actually, don't say that. Lewisohn. Doing this with a migraine is a hero ball. I cannot. Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming in. Who up marking their Lewisohn? No, we're good. We can keep going. I do like the Let It Be box set and Get Back. Okay, so here was my question that I wrote it down earlier, and I wonder if anyone knows the answer to this. Lewisohn is a desperate hack. Well, I love his chronicle stuff. So, like, his Complete Beatles Chronicles is really great. And his Complete Beatles recording sessions is really great. Hey, something happened. Something happened. So anyway, my question is, because you guys can keep fighting about, it's really gross to shit on. Yeah, this wasn't even about Lewisohn. Like, you guys are crazy. This wasn't, not you guys. You guys are crazy. This wasn't even about Lewisohn. This was about Giuliano. That's what this was about. Like, it wasn't even about Lou. Because Lou gets, because I still use his stuff. Like, it's watch my Lewisohn Lies video. Yeah, they read the title. Who's Giuliano? Mike, you're fine. Just like a piece of shit guy. You're fine. A piece of shit guy who likes to lie about the Beatles and anything else he gets to write about. He published a photo of a dead man in his book on Paul. I haven't read Chris Salewick's book yet. It's on my list, Lee. Mark Lewisohn probably started to fall in love with his work a little too much. Okay. Who is this Henry Lamone guy? Who is this guy? Go to channel. Joined April 28th, 2025. Alt account. I think we're going to hide him. Because if we had like a legitimate conversation instead of I can't make it make sense, you glaze May and shit on Lewisohn. I have reason to rewind 3, 2, 1. Are you talking shit? Are you lying? I don't believe Sean is John's son. What? Sean looks more like John than Julian does. That is the craziest. You've got to be lying. You've got to be lying. He looks more like John than anyone else. I don't watch other Gear There and Everywhere. Their channel is really good. I don't watch other Beatles YouTubers. I'm still fucked up about saying that. Kind of obsessed with Henry TBH. He's bringing some spice. I'm gonna get someone else named after a serial killer that's gonna say, "Free Henry or face his wrath." Jack with the who the hell said you were done letting me yet face. Yeah, no kidding. But okay, so question. Does anyone here, because there's 68 of you, so I'm begging. I haven't seen any of their videos, actually. I didn't even know their name, but that is actually a really cool thing. If anyone knows, if anyone knows this, when the Beatles in the 60s, with how did they get fan mail? How did they get specifically their mail? Like, how did they get mail that was like theirs? Because I was I was wondering, like, their postcards from the boys with Ringo. He gets his postcards from the boys, okay? How does the mailman who sorts their mail? How do they get their legitimate mail? Did they have, like, what was it? Because it was written straight to their addresses. Does some I need someone to tell me. I need some I think the fan club handled a lot of it and divvied it out. Okay. Hang in, Lars. I hope you feel better. Have to head out. Thanks, Matt. Or yeah, Matt. Hey, Abby. Yes, Henry was slash is our court jester for the night. Yeah, we in our group chat we called them Garys. No offense to any nice Garys, but I know one that's really bad. So my childhood abuser's name was Gary. Oh my God. Well, we're gonna move on. Do you have any favorite resources specifically for searching wings? Researching wings. Paul's 70s wife guy era is my current hyperfixation. Um, so you should check out the McCartney Legacy books. Volume 2 goes through 80. And I like many years from now for quotes from Paul. There's a Wings book coming out I think maybe next month. Your reaction. Yeah, sorry. Oh, Mr. John Berger's here. They set up an address, I think, at Brian's office. Okay, but I'm talking like, okay. See, I think that'll be the day. And Danger did get remixes for Anthology Redux, just that they were kind of rushed. Okay. I know a lot of it went to the family. George's family for sure handed a lot of fan mail in the earlier days. If you look at George, there's a picture of, hey, Jeff Dharma, hey. The kitty just left. There's a picture of their living room and it's just covered in mail, but it's like in stacks, little happy stacks. Have you read any of Jude Sutherland Kessler's books? No, she's on my list, but I've read a couple of blogs from her. I don't remember if it was I think it was maybe it was one of the specific story videos. I think Hollywood Bowl. I want to get that new Band on the Run book when it comes out. Looks cool. Damn, that's the biggest water bottle I've ever seen. I get it though. Water and migraines feel better. Thank you. Yeah, I have if you're one of the newer people because we got like kind of a surge. I have a migraine right now. And I am dealing with auras, so I'm having a hard time seeing it. Abby, your beef heart video is one of my favorite videos of yours. Abby, my partner saw like because I had to show my partner, I was like, Abby makes the coolest thumbnails of all time. And he was like, I can't believe she made a beef heart video. That's crazy. That's so cool. I'm very impressed. I get sinus headaches sometimes, not fun. Migraine auras are the worst. I completely shut down and try to sleep. Take care of yourself. I will be trying to sleep shortly after. I know, like, I have, like, a little pattern that seems to help them, go away faster. Some people try, they do, regular Coke and fries, and it helps, but I typically do after no, there was another Abigail DeVoe was here earlier. I don't know if she left, but she was here earlier. I think she popped in, or maybe am I crazy? Was it you? I'm so sorry. Anyway, God, I can hardly read, guys. I'm so sorry. Um, but I've found that That refried beans, just, like, straight from the can, about an hour and a half in usually helps me at least to a different degree. In the doc, good old Frida oh, Abigail DeVoe, see, she's right there. The trout mask is long gone, currently working on a notes for a certain review, and one of my abbreviations is Lars over and over again in my notes. You're welcome. So you get to think of, like, very happy things every time you think of me. Every time you think of that thing, hopefully that thing's a good thing. Tylenol makes the best sinus pills, actually. I always wonder if Abby does a kiss video, would she paint her face? Yes, she would. She 1000% would. And I know that because in my group chat with her and Nancy, we get photos sometimes of her little costumes and stuff. Her little costumes, I make it sound so like little and dumb. No, her costume her art is so dedicated and amazing. Hi Odessa. You came in mid migraine here. But yeah, I'm glad the trout mask is gone. That must have been really hard. It's an awesome thing with a very loud harmonica. Very good. Which Kiss member would she do? You can ask her. I'm sure the fan letters will be printed and remixed by Giles Martin, resold an obscenely. Oh, okay. Somebody's salty. I can't swallow pills for some reason. My brain doesn't let me. Why? I'm not sure myself. I have to take about like 12 supplements a day in order to keep my joints and my body happier. And I just do them all at once, but that's because I got into vitamins when I was like in middle school. I thought that I don't know, I was going to fix my brain. Abigail commented on a beef heart post I made on TikTok once, and it felt like a king for a day. Oh, we love it when stuff like that happens. There was another question I was gonna have, but it's gone. Oh my god. My ex swore that McDonald's fries help her migraines, which I never understood. When are you Abigail DeVoe, when are you going to get around to doing a Rush album? I am so glad I stick with the Beatles because those are, like, the most I'm like, I'm not doing anything else. I get questions sometimes where it's like, "When are you gonna do the Beach Boys?" I'm trying to think. It was my first live, and we talked about it 8,000,000 times. The Lou count is at, 17. Somebody was in here trolling earlier, and I yelled at him, and then I hit him. And also, Odessa, something you missed is that there's been, like, a bunch of people not a bunch, but there've been 2, which is, it's the nickel thing where it's like I'd have a nickel every time someone came in here with a serial killer name as their username, which is not very many nickels, but it's weird that happened twice. You know? It's like a couple people being weird, both of them being intense. All the haters must be so sad because until a couple of videos ago, I wasn't really hiding people. I was just fighting them, and now I fight them for a minute and then I hide them. Oh, Stuart, that was a great response. The serial killer name is so insane to mention with the new people coming in. Yeah, just wanted to it's been really interesting tonight, and the people count hasn't been that crazy because the craziest like, the largest amount of people being here was, like, 80 or 90 one time. So it's been around, like, 30 to 50, and it got up to 70, and I don't know what I said, but I pissed off a bunch of people and lost, like, 20. So, I was probably saying something about Lewisohn. What stuff from the Beatle vault do you want to be released eventually? Personally, I'm a fool who wants Carnival of Light, but I also really wish for the remaining fourth one recordings too. There's a lot of like, I want, frankly, I would just want like studio sessions on, oh my God. Um, I just want like, because I think sorry guys. um, like Rubber Soul, Pepper, they were just letting it record while they were doing studio sessions. I want those conversations. I want conversations more than I want music because we have so much music, and you guys know where I'm at with, like, learning stuff. To be fair, Lars, you've probably been doing it sorry, guys, migraine. I'm about to hop off of here. You've probably been doing a zillion other bands already with the Live Aid thing, yeah. And a lot of these things that I just haven't, it's McCartney the Wings book is McCartney approved, so you gotta keep that in you've gotta keep that in check, remember that. Lars, I'm so sorry I hijacked your chat. I would totally cover Rush, yes, but I'm also a King Crimson girl. It's hard. Abby, don't feel bad. It's fine. It's lovely to have a famous friend. I really love that people, like, are excited about your stuff. You guys need to remember something about Abby, please, because a lot of you guys are very good friends with or very good big fans of Abby. Please remember that whatever you might suggest, she might be interested in doing, but Abby literally has plans out for about 2 years. Um, and so many wants and excitements to do she wants to do so many things. She's got a really insane plan. So, like, if you're suggesting or requesting, it's going to be about, like, a 2028 deadline. So and that's in and she's just working. She's working. Oh my god. Talk about Mona Best's relationship with Neil Aspinall. I need to learn more about that. Lars, when are you projecting for completing your Live Aid project? That's a great question, Jay. So this was, like, a bad week for health. Hi, buddy. And so I was working on journalism stuff most of the week, and I still haven't finished it. I got my deadline pushed to Monday night. And, like, so I've got a birthday celebration tomorrow. Hopefully the migraine's not still here. Um, and then I've got a birthday celebration with my family on Tuesday. And then I have to get back to reading some books. So I assume let's take a look at the calendar. It's gonna be in October is what I'm gonna say. Um, so I'm gonna just continue doing Live Aid not Live Aid, no, yes, live streams. Hey, that one was hard. Let's go. You're gonna make everybody think that you're mean. He's not mean, he just wants me to play with him. You don't want people to think that you're mean because I'm mean. Everybody needs to think that you're nice. Don't think he's not mean. He's perfect. He's not mean. Okay. So today is the 29th of August. I've got birthday stuff tomorrow. I've got that story due on September 1st. Ringo is the middle of the week after that. So I think I'll probably start filming the week of the 16th, which gives me I've been filming stuff throughout this whole process because I come across some insane fucking interview or some horrific stuff, and I will, start reading it or writing it, and then I will, um elitist, condescending. Me? How? Um, anyway, so I, um, I, I think I'll probably have it out, like, the 1st or 2nd week um, 1st or 2nd week of October. I've loved some video or conversation during Abbey Road, but apparently there's nothing, or they say there's nothing. This is so funny to me. Okay. So, like, someone continues to bother me during a chat, and I decide after, like, several times, like and it's bothering me to the point that my moderator and I are talking about it. And I'm like, "Okay, maybe I should get, like, rid of whatever." And so then like multiple people come in here and defend this person even though I hid them. Am I not allowed to like moderate my chat? And also, is this person actually a fan of me to the point like that if I'm not allowing them to talk anymore, like they're going to send their friends, their little flying monkeys, to come talk shit to me? Cute. Pumping vinyl. I'll see you later, bud. Okay. I need more moderators. My God. Apparently there were some really very intense financial meetings where harsh things were said during the time of Abbey Road. We are your minions. Thank you, Mr. John Berger. There's only one time where I sent like where I told my friends to like yeah, who is this guy with the fleet of fans just for this chat? A guy that thinks Mark Lewisohn is like really great and wanted me to talk shit on Kit O'Toole, even though I've never read any of her books, but all my friends think that she's lovely, and I'm just not gonna do it. Like, I don't know anything about her. um, Maybe it's the same troll with 2 accounts. I think that it is, yeah. I think that there's like I think that somebody got an alt. Um, what was I gonna say? I don't know. Okay. The internet is weird. I like it, but it's weird. Moderating is good. It makes it more enjoyable. Yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to someone else. Yes, Kit O'Toole. Yeah, like the Kit O'Toole, the Beatles author, the one who does all the fest stuff. A lot of people that are friends with me like really enjoy her like as a person. So I was like not interested in saying anything. I was like, I don't know. I haven't read her books. I didn't know she wrote books. There's so many people like there are so many people like it's to keep up with and stuff. So I don't know. Okay, guys, listen. I'm at the point of the aura where I really can't see anything. Um, so we're gonna hop off. Migraines are stupid. Um, yeah, there was some deliberate trolling going on. How does someone become a moderator? Be my friend in real life that I know that I trust. So that's why Angel's a moderator. Sorry, Derek. Um, that's weird that anyone would want you to smear her. I don't understand. Yeah, exactly. Literally don't know enough to have an opinion. I haven't read her books. Didn't know that she wrote books. All I know is that my friends like her, so I don't have anything to say. Okay, I love you guys. I will be back in the over month course before Live Aid. I'll be doing some lives. But until then, I will not be putting up another main channel video unless the Beatles do something stupid and drop another thing. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you later. Right. Y'all come back now, you hear?